Welcome back. This is the final part of my trip around the contiguous US. After my attempt last year to visit the north, east, south, and westernmost points of the contiguous US failed, I set out once again and had now almost completed my journey. This is the Big Loop 2. Where we left off, I was driving up the Pacific coast and was about to cross from California into Oregon, heading up to the westernmost point in Washington. Oh, there it is. There it is, a large welcome sign. And now we have entered Oregon, thus ending the longest stretch in a state, and it immediately is more foggy. Well, this is it. This is the final stretch. We're in Oregon. The westernmost point is coming up. Just a few states left to go, a few days. I don't know, it's gonna be weird. It's weird that this is almost over. Like, the days have just been getting quicker and quicker and quicker. And... yeah, I don't know. I think it'll take some time getting used to being in one spot again. So... it's been a long run. Thanks for sticking along and watching. I appreciate all the support. First impressions, I've never been to this part of Oregon, and yeah, it exists. I love the nature of the Oregon coast, but the towns, you know, it's just like towns in America. There's some cool ones, some not cool ones. However, the overcast and fog do really contribute to a dreary atmosphere. Soon, though, I would enter a stretch of scenic highway and be reminded why I love the Oregon coast. How many times did I put Oregon coast in the script? My mood right now is so funny, because it's like, I'm in a bad mood. My leg really hurts. I think I fell into like an itching plant, because my left arm is like tingles now. But I mean, like, all I have to do is just stop and look at this. I've said it before, but thank God I'm not going the other way around, because otherwise I would be having a mental breakdown in Cleveland right now. Beautiful. Oh yeah, if you don't remember, I skinned my knee last episode, which in the time frame was like an hour ago. If you didn't watch the last episode, come on. Now, I did clean up my wound, but since it was right on the knee, I couldn't bend it without at least a little bit of pain. But you think a flesh wound's gonna stop me? I'm gonna keep just stopping at all the viewpoints. What else am I gonna do? I'm very hungry. I need to eat like a real meal. I haven't had a real meal in days. Was the last time I had like a balanced meal Korean barbecue? Maybe. Another scenic outlook in half a mile. I think what really sucks is like each beach, it's like I could spend a full day here and be like just vibing, but you know, it's like, oh, cool beach, gotta get going. Got so much more to see. The next one was called Natural Bridge, so of course I had to see that. It may be the most impressive natural bridge I've seen. If you don't know, natural bridge is a generic term used to describe when water flows beneath a rock, creating, say it with me now, a natural bridge. So there's not a ton of them, but they can be found scattered throughout the world. Surely I'd have to stop after this one. That sounds really cool looking. If you didn't catch it, that sign said Arch Rock. Honestly, the Arch Rock wasn't even the coolest formation at this stop. I was fucking with this one over here more. The Loaf Rock, I guess? I don't know. It didn't get a name because having a hole is more important. Nature stopped my viewpoint streak for me. Just kidding, I'm still stopping at this massive rock. Continuing on through the fog, there was a dinosaur place. It was closed. The fog is coming. Here we can see our first of many Oregon green bridges. Yeah, it's just like rusted copper green, but there's something about it specifically that I associate with Oregon, like the exact tone. At this point, I didn't have any more stops for the night, as it was getting pretty dark and the fog was coming in pretty thick. So I decided to get some food and head to my campsite. However, the last town I passed through, Coos Bay, North Bend, has like maybe the highest energy of like sleepy town with a supernatural mystery I've ever driven through. Does that make sense? I don't know if that's derogatory or not. Well, time to pitch my tent in the dark once again. Another foggy morning. You love to see it. Perfect weather for a sweatshirt and shorts. Alright, it's day 30-something, like 6. I don't know. I've been looking at a lot of big rocks. Let's go look at the small rocks. Check out the dunes. Lots of little rocks. I'm losing it. I'm starting off with a hike to some dunes. I planned little driving this day because I knew I'd be stopping a lot just for random places, and this is the first one. The dunes were a bit of a pain in the ass to climb, but it's still easier in deep snow, and the view is definitely worth it. The expanse of dunes is just so, I mean, I'll let past me speak. Like, this is genuinely so cool. Like, it's such a cool area. It's just like a little, there's so many dunes, and they're like actual dunes. I don't know what to say anymore. This is amazing. Like, I keep thinking, man, I should be done. I'm so tired, but then I see this and I'm like, let's keep going. If you learn anything from this video, it's that the title of national park doesn't mean shit. At least in terms of natural beauty. In terms of protections and regulation is where the stats helps, I think. But I would definitely say, in terms of beauty, national park is an arbitrary category because there's beauty all around the US if you know where to look, and you know, it's in the eye of the beholder, so it's all subjective anyway. I'd roll down, but like, you know, wound. Not as much sand as I thought when I emptied out my shoes. Continued to drive for a little bit, then the sun came out and the mood was good. Oh, the sun is gone already. When I was driving through this forest, I saw a sign for Crater Lake, which is strange because I was pretty sure it was deeper in the mountains. I took the turn and ended up here, which is super weird because, you know, I thought there was an island and it was a bit bigger. What's going on? Oh, I see, it's Carter Lake, not Crater Lake. Gosh, I can be so silly. Now, because I know how the internet works, it was a joke. I know that Crater Lake isn't near the coast. I thought it was funny that there's a lake in Oregon that has a similar name that at a brief glance could look like a more famous lake in Oregon. Unironically, I think if someone joke policed any of my jokes, that's the one I'd be most upset about. You can call me a loser, but how dare you suggest I don't know the location of Crater Lake, Oregon. This is too long of a tangent for the Iowan city, pretty much in Nebraska. After driving past a turn to Eugene, I was thinking like, oh, you know, I'm back in a road I've been on before, and I was like, wow, I haven't experienced that, since DC? But I was like, wait a minute, no, I visited BC and LA before. Like, I'm back into like childhood road trip territory though, you know? Where it's like Oregon, Iowa, and Colorado were like the 3 road trips I did a lot as a kid. Just north of Florence, I stopped at a carnivorous plant bog with these plants known as cobra lilies, which wait for bugs to crawl under their hood before consuming them. Also known as Darlingtonia, they can only be found in a select few places in southern Oregon and North California. No, butterfly, watch out! You shouldn't be there! No! Oh, it's fine, they're just landing on top. Pretty neat quick little stop there. Then I doubled back because I passed by something I wanted to see, Exploding Whale Memorial Park in Florence. For a whale that presumably exploded, it looks way too happy. So I came to Exploding Whale Memorial Park, mostly because silly name, Exploding Whale Memorial. Why is this kind of cool? What? So the exploding whale in question washed up on shore in the 70s. Now I thought the exploding part of this whale was in reference to how corpses blowed up and then just kind of go pfft. But no, they put some explosives under it and fucking obliterated it. Next stop just down the road was the Sea Lion Caves, which if you've been watching from the beginning may sound familiar. Sea Lion Caves in Oregon. In the parking lot I thought there might be a secret cave, but it's barely a cranny. Not even a crevice, really. Sea lion caves are pretty self-explanatory. They're caves with sea lions inhabiting them. I'd visited them a few times as a child, and they were how I remember. Many places from my childhood I've revisited as an adult and had the nostalgic shimmer stripped from them. My fond memories are overwritten by the flaws I see as an adult. Less often I get newfound appreciation for places, but the sea lion caves are about the same. I remember thinking, that was kinda neat as a child, and about 13 years later I thought, that's kinda neat. You can also see them outside. It's a cool place, I guess. You know, you're guaranteed to see some wild sea lions. One last note, those rocks aren't white naturally. So I thought I'd have a moment in the sea lion caves where I was like, wow, you know, I saw this mural for them back in Minnesota and just think about how much time has passed. But the amount of screaming children really kind of takes you out of the moment. I did get this though. I saw it and I was like, the little guy levels are off the chart. He's just a little guy. He needs a name. Got chat, what do we name this banana slug? I'm very rarely like an impulse buyer, but like this, that's not true. I'm rarely an impulse buyer for like physical objects, but this, I needed them. Of course, I stopped at another random spot. Tide pool time. This spot looks like it'd have good tide pools, so hopefully it does. I don't know. We'll see. Well, even if there is something lurking in there, good luck. All I could find at first was this dead crab. Soon, I realized I needed to zoom out. It took me way too long to realize there was a full seal colony on those rocks over there. I've grown up near bison, and I always kind of wanted to know the feeling of seeing one in wild for the first time, and I think this is the closest I've gotten. Then I turned the camera around to see what face I was making. It's very hard to be in genuine awe on camera, at least for me, I feel. I started to see other stuff too, starfish, crab. Sometimes you just need some patience. This was a cooler experience than the sea lion caves, to just stumble upon some seals. It did feel more majestic and less fatty, since a 12-year-old wasn't beating it with saltwater taffy every 5 fucking seconds. Okay, there weren't kids throwing candy at the sea lion caves. That's just a reference for like 2 of you, but there were kids running around and yelling, which is fair because sea lions are cool. However, it's nice to be able to sit and listen to the ocean for a sec. As cool as this was, I gotta move on. So I'm passing through Newport right now. I don't know, it's kind of crazy being back here because this was like the beach town we always went to when I went through Oregon as a kid. And it's been almost 9 years since the last time I was here. And yeah, it's just, I don't know, wild after, you know, this massive trip, seeing so many new places. And then it's just like, oh yeah. I don't know why it was the town we always came to. I think because of the aquarium. It's a nice aquarium, but I won't be visiting there today. I've been coming here since I was like 2. And I'm back. Spice, adult video. Wait, this morning I was thinking, you know, what references could I make to the first part of the trip? And I was like, oh, I could, you know, because like the first thing I saw was like, oh, the cowboy on the bomb. I'm like, yeah, but like, how am I ever gonna see a Doc Strangelove reference out in the wild? And I saw one in Newport, and it, like, I saw one on like one of the electronic like sign things that was like, watch our performance of Doc Strangelove. I'm like, holy crap, like out in the wild, that's insane. And then I tried to go back to get like a video or something of it, and the screen changed, and it just never changed back to that. I swear it was there. I'll put a screenshot up of like to show that, yeah, they're gonna do it, but like I could not get a thing in the wild. But I was like, that's crazy. That's crazy that there's a Doc Strangelove performance out here. I actually parked at the Chamber of Commerce for like 15 minutes, but it never cycled back. I also drove over to theater to see if they had an advertisement, but I was starting to feel crazy, so I moved on. But they were playing it. Look at the website. My next stop in the town of Lincoln City is the Dee River. So there's a bit of a debate when it comes to the shortest river in the U.S. It's the Roe River, but the Dee River in Oregon also tries to claim that title. So I was like, you know what? I'll check it out, see what it looks like. It's definitely longer. I don't know what they're fucking talking about, because it's like, you know, it says, oh, you know, if you measure, depending on when you measure at the tide, but it's like, looking at all of it, it's like, you include all of this, it's definitely longer. I don't know what. Unless you're like, unless it's like, oh, well, actually, this part is part of Devil's Lake, and it's like, it's longer. The next part I blasted through since I was trying to reach a certain establishment before they closed. I'm drifting from the coast a little bit, but you can see it has a bit of a different vibe here. A little bit more farmland, and the fog hasn't drifted over here yet. Then I passed by another Oregon memory. There's the Burger King where I ate 2 hamburgers in 3 bites. Where was I in such a rush to get to? Well, Pronto Pup, of course. This restaurant in Rockaway Beach claims to be the inventor of the corn dog. Although, of course, there are differing accounts. In addition to the giant corn dog on top, there's also a corn dog that you can ride outside. I didn't, though. It would seem sad to ride it by myself. You might be wondering, dang, is it that good? I mean, it's the best corn dog I've ever had, which, you know, isn't that high a bar to clear, but very good. And it's something I was in the mood for. Just something with a lot of calories. They also have a pickle, which I did try last year, but, you know, I thought I'd eat it again, even though I didn't like it for content, because it's truly something. I took a bite off the top to see that it was the pickle. Look at this thing, dude. Yeah, so the problem is that, like, the batter and the pickle are two, like, distinct. Like, you bite through the batter, and then you get to the pickle, and you have to apply more force, and it's very unpleasant, but... and then you're just eating a hot, greasy pickle. If you'd like to eat... Then, one more stop before reaching my campground, the Tillamook Cheese Factory. It's kind of fucked up that they whisk the cows up to make the cheese. Yeah, it's a factory where they make cheese, and you can watch them do it. They even have free samples, which were definitely on toothpicks last time they came through. Individually wrapped cheese is probably better for slowing the spread of disease. It doesn't feel the same, but that's not my area of expertise. I should mention to enter you don't have to pay any fees, although the layout all but guarantees you'll be spending your currencies on as much cheese as you can seize in order to appease your hunger. Something you might freeze for later. Say we're Japanese bees on the Board of Trustees. Rhyme Zone, help me! Lockheed C-130 Hercules? Jeez Louise. Funnily enough, there's another cheese factory in Tillamook called Blue Heron, but it's nowhere near as big. Like, yeah, of course everyone's gonna go to the one named after the city. Can you imagine going to a different chocolate factory in Hershey, Pennsylvania? Oh, to be a cow in a scenic dairy farm near the Oregon coast. I really hope their lives aren't awful. So, fun fact about my campsite, I've actually camped super close by before, just on the other side of that outcropping. I didn't even realize that when I picked out this spot, I only realized when I got there. Another trip from the Oregon coast to reminisce about. Camping on the sand, wading into the ocean at 6 a.m., and the jellyfish fights. Speaking of which, this is the most intact jellyfish I've ever seen washed up. It's good to see some traditions still carry on, like crab carcass castles. The Oregon coast is a place I've enjoyed at every age. While some places I thought were boring as hell as a child, I've grown to appreciate as an adult. As mentioned earlier, many places were clouded by nostalgia and felt worse as an adult. But Oregon I like every time. I don't think I could live here though. The constant overcast would get to me. Whenever I visit Oregon, I'm always excited to come back, and it's like, I'm here now. Why can't I enjoy it now? Why am I looking forward to the next time? That's weird. Take a drink every time I say Oregon coast in this video. On day 38, I woke up to the closest experience I'll get to Jurassic Park. Well, I can think of a way to get closer, but I'd rather not. Last night, I backtracked a bit south from Rockaway Beach to get to my campground, so I got to encounter brand new road construction that wasn't there the night before. Today I'd be stopping into town again, this time to actually see their town's beach formation, the Twin Rocks Arch. It is kind of nice that beach towns don't get started till like 10, maybe. Like, it's 9 a.m. There's like 5 people around, you know? It's also windy as shit, but Oregon. I'd like to imagine I'd start every morning with a beach walk if I lived by one, but I know the novelty would wear off after like a week. The Twin Rocks Arch is neat though. I tried getting some cool shots near the water level, but since my camera isn't waterproof, I couldn't commit to the bit. I got salt in my wound. Onwards to one of my favorite rock formations on the Oregon coast.
Would you believe me if I told you that driving barefoot is kind of disorienting? I'm driving barefoot because I'm like, well, I'm just gonna keep getting out and going to beaches all day, so what's even the bother of cleaning my feet off at all, you know? I feel like I have to push a little bit more, just because I'm used to that, you know, there being a shoe in the way.
The town of Cannon Beach is home to Haystack Rock, which doesn't really have any fancy formations, but its size alone is quite impressive. I stopped here last year and felt drawn by its magnetic presence, so I was a bit surprised to see the parking lot mostly empty, since last year it was rather packed. From this lot though, it's about a half-mile walk to the rock. Just saw a bald eagle. Crab on the beach. I think it's dead though. A lot of dead things. Turns out it's easier to get pictures of dead things since they stay still. Sometimes. I think my favorite part of Haystack Rock is its reflection in the water. I love freezing my legs off to get these kind of shots. At the base of the rock there's tide pools, but there's barricades farther from the rock than there were last year. I should probably stop talking about my experience last year and focus on this year, but what can I say? The Oregon coast has been a trip down memory lane. Anyways, here's some things I saw in and around the tide pools. Are these from this year or last year? You'll never know. I'm being so genuine. I love this place. I can't quite place the reason, but maybe that's the reason in and of itself. I love the vibe of the Oregon coast in general.
What the hell is this place?
This is Seaside, which feels like the biggest anomaly on the Oregon coast.
Seaside as a town is so funny to me because it's like the only town on the Oregon coast I've seen that's like fully trying to be like beachy, touristy, trappy, like, you know, like, oh, let's have fun, all this tourist trap stuff, but like, you don't go to Oregon to have fun on the beach. The beach is gloomy as hell here, you know? Like, this is the best weather I've seen, and like, look at this. It's very rarely sunny. What are we doing? This isn't the Oregon coast vibe.
That isn't to say there aren't tourist trap attractions, there certainly are, but it's the town most committed to the bit. It's the only place on the Oregon coast I've seen that has one of those t-shirt stores. You know the ones. Maybe it's the giant 7-story hotel that's throwing me off, because I feel like there's not anything else like that building on the Oregon coast. Could be misremembering, though. Nearing the end of my time in Oregon, I decided to stop in a town I'd only passed through before. Astoria, located at the northwest corner of Oregon. At the top of the hill was the Astoria Column, which, yes, you can climb up. Great idea, climb up 1,000 steps with an injured knee. I'm sure that'll be good for it. The view is pretty cool from up here, though. Then, I also decided to check out the Oregon Film Museum, which was located in the Old County Jail, which sounds cool in theory, but is very cramped in practice. Did you know The Goonies was filmed in Astoria? Because Astoria really wants you to know. They really went all in on The Goonies, though. Surely there's at least one other movie filmed in Astoria. Okay, I see why they'd go with The Goonies. Just across the street is the Goonies house, so I don't really care, because I've never seen The Goonies. First town I've been to that felt like it had required viewing before visiting. After that, I figured I had to get moving, and it was time to depart Oregon. As we cross this bridge, the final boss of Oregon Green Bridges. At some point... hold on. Is it after the Green Bridge part? Well, I guess that makes sense. The Green Bridge feels very Oregon to me. We will soon be entering Washington. This bridge is actually super fucking long. Okay, there's another section of bridge here, but this feels like a slightly different color. Oh, there we go. Entering Washington. Dang. I thought it was somewhere. It's right there, I guess. I guess most of the Columbia River of that section is part of Oregon, but now we're finally in Washington for real. Let's go. Dismal Niche. All right. There weren't as many stops from here on out since I was mostly driving through the forest, and the places to stop would be pretty deep in the woods. However, I stopped at the world's largest oyster. When was the last time I stopped at something claiming to be the world's largest blank? This might be the most disappointing world's largest thing, and I've seen the world's largest sugar beet. Aberdeen is where Nirvana is from. Is there another fun fact about this town? You tell me. Within the dense forest of the Olympic Peninsula is the world's largest Sitka spruce. A total drought of large things and 2 in one day. What are the odds? This certainly is a massive tree. When you say it's the world's largest, I'll just have to take your word for it, since there could be a larger one far from the clutches of civilization, but also, after redwoods, it's like, is this as impressive? I mean, yeah, while the trees here might not be the absolute tallest, they are still gigantic. And the forest had a completely different atmosphere than the redwoods. It felt like thicker and denser. In fact, this part of Washington is actually a rainforest. In fact, most of the Pacific coast is considered a temperate rainforest, but for the Olympic Peninsula, it really rang true. As I continued north, the road grazed the coast once again, and the clouds parted, allowing for the sun to shine through. I felt so serene in that moment, somewhat nervous for the next day, as I was about to finally complete my goal and soon head home. What I spent over a month doing was about to end, so it's only fitting that I had to stop for construction 7 times. That night, I stayed in Forks, Washington, and rested up, as tomorrow I would finally tackle the westernmost point. Today is a big day. Maybe even the biggest day of the trip. It's day 39. Yeah. And today, we'll finally be visiting the westernmost point of the contiguous U.S. I should say contiguous because it's not the lower 48 technically, because there are some islands in Washington that are a little bit further west, but you can't really get to those easily, so westernmost point of the contiguous U.S. This is the climax, not Minnesota, of the trip. And it's crazy, it's already here. The time just, time's a weird thing. It's already here. Later today there'll be an appearance from a special guest, so... Oh, shit. Yeah, that about sums things up. Let's go. I felt pretty nervous on the drive to the westernmost point. I'm not quite sure why. The weather was mild and it was a simple drive and hike. I guess months, and when you look back at it, years of anticipation had started to build, and soon would be the moment. There it is. The Ozette Ranger Station is where I'd be starting the hike from. Yep. There it is. Cape Alava Trail.
I actually don't know how you pronounce it. This is it, the trail to the westernmost point of the contiguous US. Yeah. I don't know. I'm kind of nervous because it's a 3-mile hike, you know, low elevation, decent gradient. It's temperate weather. You know, there's no, I mean, I'm sure there's some mosquitoes, but like, I don't know. It's weird. Kind of nervous. It's just, yeah, it's surreal. This is the surreal moment of like, wow, I'm here. After a drive to the middle of nowhere, I gotta walk through the middle of nowhere. It's the only, like, point without I don't even think there's a marker there.
The hike is a little over 3 miles and crosses fairly even terrain, but it's kind of slippery at times. My head was filled with so many thoughts, but at the same time, I didn't know how to express them. The culmination over a month's worth of driving and years of planning is hard to summarize.
It's kind of funny. I've seen a few other people, passed by a few other people on the trail. I've been like the only person without a backpack. I don't know, man. I don't know what to say. Ferns.
With the journey being near its climax, surely I was having deep thoughts.
I remember this guy, and I don't know, what, Calculus 2 or whatever I was taking. We were talking about like asymptotic functions. And then he was like, my mom's cousin died like that. And we're like, what the fuck are you talking about? And he's like, yeah, whatever it's called, autoerotic asphyxiation. And we're like, what? And he's like, yeah, I'm not joking.
If I hadn't stumbled right there, I probably wouldn't have seen this.
I'm hyped. I saw a banana slug. I've been looking for them, but only when I stopped looking for them did I find them. Is it clear that I don't think I've gotten a full 8 hours of sleep in weeks?
I was pretty much there. On that beach is the westernmost point.
This is it. The westernmost point of the contiguous US. Like I said, probably depends on the tide, but close enough. Ignore the fact that there's islands right there that are more western. This is the westernmost part of the mainland. And that's good enough for me. And I think it should be good enough for you too. But I've done it. I visited the north, east, south, and westernmost points of the contiguous US. I mean, I guess I didn't, fuck it, whatever. Good enough. Good enough on all of them. None of them actually are the true extreme points where the markers are. There's no marker here even, so. I did it. I don't know what else to say. I feel like some people are gonna be like, wow, you finally completed it, and you're just like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. Should I be more like, yeah, I did it. Would you prefer that? My excitement is inside, and that's what's important. No, but really, I am excited, or I don't know, I'm content, I guess. It's like, yeah, I did it. This crow will not shut the fuck up. I don't know. Maybe I was hoping for some sun, since there was some sun yesterday, so it could have happened. But yeah, it's just, the weather's overcast, so it's just kind of like, yeah, it's a vibe. I don't know, yeah. I'm just feeling content right now, I guess. I'm not super, like, wow. I don't know. Like, who am I going to share it with? Those people over there?
I tried just closing my eyes and seeing if that helps show my mood. I feel like, at least for me, it's hard to be genuine while staring directly at a camera. I decided to just sit for a while, because I felt like between getting out of bed and getting into bed, I had few moments where I just sat with myself, no driving, no walking, just sitting and watching. So I sat there to observe the crabs and reflect. Many times I feel like I've been judged for having the wrong or insufficient reaction to something. I felt like I should have been more excited, but I did feel like a genuine sense of accomplishment. But I feel like accomplishment isn't a very outward emotion, or at least how I express it. Because the truth is, it wasn't exciting. It was rewarding, yes, but exciting... The sky was gray and the wind was whipping about, and it felt like just another rocky beach in the PNW. It was pleasant, but wasn't one of the most impressive things I had seen. I was more outwardly excited to see a banana slug, and I feel like that's because there's an element of randomness there. But the Cape is the place I've been preparing to get to for so long, so it's expected. I also feel like I got more out of spontaneous stops or stops I had done little research on. Oftentimes my mental state was being exaggerated for dramatic effect, but those feelings were based in reality. Of course, last year this was supposed to be a two-person trip, and I've talked about before on the series how I've been better with an accomplice, although this would have been testing of any friendship. However, it did feel kind of hollow to do this by myself. Some of my favorite parts of the trip were visiting friends, even if the activities were more ordinary. So, I do wish I met up with more people on the trip. Can't be lingering on the past for too long, though.
The story isn't over yet. I still gotta get home.
Saw another slug on the way back. What if I made a dating profile and it was just these 4 photos? I'm kidding. Anyone who saw it would think, oh, this is the most obnoxious person ever. I had to make sure to stop on the way back to see the Reverse Mermaid? Yeah, that seems like a fitting title. Apparently her name is Rosie and she was made as a counterpart to Gil the running fish nearby, who I did not see. A lot of sites described her as fish with legs and breasts, which isn't incorrect, but I feel like it lacks a bit of whimsy. Before I wrapped up the day, I wanted to see more of Olympic National Park. Cape Alava was part of the coastal section, but I wanted to see the mountainous section. So I went to the closest visitor center to acquire a map. I went up towards Hurricane Ridge since it was right next to the visitor center. I didn't know what Hurricane Ridge was, so I was in it for the journey. I didn't realize it was going to go way up in the mountains. Before we get to the hike though, there's something I have to show you. Now you may have noticed on my hat has been gathering more pins, and there's one for each corner of the US, because I didn't visit all 4 of the extreme points on this trip, and I was like, yeah, the corners are close enough, they're good enough. And now I can add the northwest corner, the Olympic. We got an Acadia, the Bowie, Balboa Park, and now Olympic. I think it was a cool thing to put on this hat. Now we can walk up to Hurricane Ridge. When I first got up there, I thought it was pretty cool, but of course the clouds obscuring the view was a bit of a bummer. However, once I started walking up that trail, I could see the valleys and peaks in the distance. Holy shit, dude. What else is there to say other than that the view is incredible? This might have been my favorite scenery of the whole trip. It does feel silly that I went around the entire US, and at the end of the day, my favorite type of place is still forested mountains. I didn't need to go all the way around to see this, but I'm glad I did. This will never not be the most incredible feeling to me.
The entire walk up has just been me going like, damn. And I mean, damn.
Olympic was probably on the top of the list of national parks I wanted to visit. They're at least easy to get to, and it did not disappoint.
It's fucked up that the steepest part so far has been the switchbacks. Like, that's antithetical to switchbacks. Look at that, though. It's terrible quality. It's focusing on me, but you know.
I saw a family of these grouses, grousing about. After probably the most strenuous hike of the trip, I had made it to the top of the Hurricane Ridge. Well, at least as far as I want people to go.
I feel like this is the climactic vibe I was hoping for earlier. I mean, you know, hiking up a mountain, or at least partially up a mountain. The car did most of the work, but you know, this huge view. I mean, I love mountains, so like, of course, this is going to be, like, this will feel like a finale to me. And, you know, time to head back down. And, yeah. I don't know, Olympic might be my new favorite national park. Beating out Glacier. I've been to.
And what trip up the mountains would be complete without a marmot sighting? I love marmots. They're such cool little chunky guys. Maybe it's recency bias, but I think Olympic might be my favorite national park I've been to. Easily the best of the trip. Here's the final national parks of the trip ranking. 7th, Indiana Dunes. 6th, Cuyahoga Valley. 5th, Everglades. 4th, Saguaro. 3rd, Redwood. 2nd, Acadia. And 1st, Olympic. Descending really felt like I was entering the falling action of this story, which feels like a weird way to think about life. Think about it in narrative terms, but sometimes it fits. The original name idea I had for the big loop was Around the USA in 40 days, but when the first loop failed, I just called it the Big Loop because it was still a big loop technically. I did travel decently far, just not as big as I wanted it to be. However, this year I kept with the 40-day time frame, even though I didn't need to, although I did add one extra day at the end to spend with a friend. Also, Google Maps told me a very suboptimal route to Seattle, don't worry about it. It's also possible I misread the map, but who would I be seeing in Seattle? So, what'd you think?
Yeah, it was a great trip, man. It was a
Yeah.
great trip. Good to be back, even if it's just for this one day.
If you have no idea who this is, that's Nathaniel, and he joined me last year on the failed Big Loop. Now he's here at the end, like when Bilbo is at the end of the Lord of the Rings. Guess that makes me Gandalf in this metaphor, since he's the only one who went on both journeys. This analogy doesn't make any sense, but you're used to that in my rambling by now. Or you're not, because I've cut so much of it out. As you probably noticed, each part has a title, but there are a lot of rejects, and they vary in quality, so enjoy this dramatic reading of them.
It's been 1 week since you looped me. Live, laugh, loop. Loop dreams. Loop, there it is. She big on my loop till I too. Doc, strange love, or how I stopped worrying and learned to love the loop. Feeling loopy. Electric Boogaloo. Loopy Loop, the cream-filled robot. Loophole. Lubricant. Chicken loop for the soul. Cindy Loop Who. Loop Farino. Everybody wants to loop the world. 2 loops of raisin. Loop therapy. Rise and fall, rage and loop. We bought a loop. Fiddler on the loop. I'm on big loop and I must scream. Don't eep in the loop.
Yeah.
Carpool spelled backwards is loop rag. Crazy thing called loop. Crazy little thing called loop. It's looping time, then he looped all over the place. California looping. It's the end of the loop as we know it, and I feel fine. In the loop of the Crimson Ring. Remember when Gwyneth Paltrow had vagina candles called Goop? What if I did that and they were called Loop and smelled like my ball sweat after a 10-hour drive through Florida?
The whole thing. That'd be the title of the video.
Sign Loop.
Side loop. Which one's your favorite?
It's gotta be 2 loops of raisin or the last one, which I won't repeat. Back to the abyss.
Alright. Back to the abyss you go. It's day 41. It's the last day. All I need to do today is get home. And that's... yeah. I don't know. I have like this knot. I have like a pit in my stomach. Like, I mean, on one hand, I'm like, okay, finally today I can go home, sleep in my own bed, you know, stop driving every day. But on the other, I don't know. This has become my life. This is, I think it'll be weird. I think it'll be a weird adjustment period. Just sitting in my house, or just staying in the same place every night. I think it'll be a weird adjustment. The loop, it flew by, especially once I got like past Florida. Boom, like you know, time flies. Time flies when you take things one day at a time, and then you look back and you're like, wow, that was all this past couple months. That's so much happened. And I'm like, that was all this trip. I haven't been home since, like, I'll think about things that happened. I'll be like, dang, I haven't been home since then. And now I finally will be. So, lovely scenery on this final day, though. We got one last shitposty town named George Washington. So even though today's the last day, there's still one part of the country that I wasn't looking forward to driving through, and that is Eastern Washington. Because I'm sure when most of you hear, like, oh, Washington nature, you picture something like Olympic, but a good chunk of the state is just, like, scrub and farmland, and it's so hot and dry. I do not like it. I think it's a miserable place to drive through. But it is so hot and dry that I do think at least part of it does count as a desert. So, in the desert. You can't remember your name because there ain't no one for to give you no pain. Turns out it's actually not too bad if you don't spend that much time out of the car. Dude, I haven't listened to me singing, like I haven't listened to me in any of the singing bits, so I can't wait to hear how much I hate it. Alright, we got one more state. It's Idaho. And we're just kind of driving through on the interstate here. I have less to say about Idaho than Delaware. I've driven this part so many times. It should be obvious, but I'm done. After over 40 days, I'm back in Montana, returning to the state it began. Well, I'm back in Montana, my home state, and yeah, it feels good to be back. It'll be nice to get home. You know, I still have some hours of driving left, but I think there's time for one last stop. That's right, this video won't end with a bang, but the whimper of the St. Regis Trout Aquarium. What's crazy is that it used to look even sadder. It used to be like a dimly lit closet in the back. Well, Big Loop is pretty much over, so I guess I'll share a few closing thoughts. It will be nice to get home, but at the same time, the road's been my home kind of for like the past month, so I think it'll be weird. I think it'll be a weird adjustment. And like, I don't know if I want to return to what my everyday life was before. Like, I definitely need to stop somewhere. Yeah, like I cannot keep going, but I don't know. I don't know if I want to return to what my life was before. I probably will though. But yeah, if I were to ever do anything like this again, I would definitely want to have someone to do it with. If not for the whole thing, for at least like a decent chunk of it, or if like multiple people for like different chunks and like spans of it, which I tried to plan this time, but it just didn't, pan out, which it's tricky, I understand. But yeah, oh my goodness, there's so many butterflies hitting my windshield. I think what's interesting going into this, I thought that like the boring stretches, like just crossing like all of West Texas, or like the long empty stretches, I thought would be kind of the ones where I'd want someone with me the most. But it's like, no, it was more like the ones where I was experiencing something cool. I was more kind of sad I didn't have anyone to share a memory with. Because on like a long boring drive, it's like I can just listen to the same song 15 times in a row and no one can tell me to not do that. So so I'm just chilling there. So whether there's been 10 or 10,000 of you watching, this has been Goshen Man, the Big Loop 2. Thanks for watching. Not to drag us out even further, but I feel like a final thought segment after the loop happened and the series is over would be a nice addendum. I mean, if you stuck around this far, it's a few more minutes. The first day of being home had kind of like a weird nostalgic feeling. It kind of felt like one of the first days of like summer vacation as a kid, and you just kind of wake up and you don't gotta worry about homework anymore. I don't know, it's kind of weird. Weeks later, of course, while writing the script, I settled back into a routine, but I can feel the weight of procrastination. And of course, I'm still feeling that as I'm recording this, because, I did this trip like 6 months ago, but just now getting to release it. It feels like such a surreal journey that I went on. It's like, oh yeah, over a month of my life, I was just driving around the country. For like all the months after that, I was working on editing into videos, and of course, since I was planning on doing this like a year earlier, I started planning it out then. So this has been consuming some part of my brain for pretty much 2 years now. So I guess the big question is, would I do it again? And the answer is maybe, but there would definitely have to be heavy editing of the planning. I also would definitely want to like actually lock in more people, because I already did it by myself. I don't want to do it by myself again, There's plenty of times that, I was just kind of like, damn, this is rough. But looking back on, like, yeah, this is a cool thing I did. Glad I did it. It also feels like it might have been the last year I've been able to do that, because, shit's kind of starting to hit the fan. I don't want to make any exact predictions on what's going to happen. But as for what's next after the Big Loop 2, I guess we'll see. But I do appreciate everyone watching and, liking and commenting and subscribing and all the support I've gotten and all the messages I've been sent over the past few weeks. This has been kind of the project I've probably put the most effort into in my life, and you know, I'm glad to see that it's gotten a 99.9% positive feedback so far. But of course, once again, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time I go somewhere. This has been Goshen Man, The Big Loop 2.